go straight to East Africa, where Kenya's port of Mombasa is a dominant player in the region's sea trade, but that is now being challenged by other facilities in the area. With the Chinese, the South Africans, Turkey, and other investors getting into the seaports investment in East Africa, the game is changing and the stakes getting higher. Analysts at GBS Africa, based in London, has just released a new report on this development. Welcome my guest, Agnes Gitau, the managing partner at GBS Africa, for a chat to her new report. Good evening, madam. Welcome to the show. Let's hit the ground running. Give me the highlights of your latest report at GBS Africa on East African trade.
Thank you very much, Boston. It's always a great pleasure for me to have conversations on African matters on your platform. So thank you again for having me. So our report confirms the importance of investing in Africa's logistics sector and also to meet the demand, as we look to participate in the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Investing in regional ports is key. The second highlight, Boston, was the importance of collaboration. So regional collaboration to pool resources so that we can promote the logistics sectors, which ultimately promotes regional trade. The third highlight from this report, and I do hope that your viewers will have an opportunity to read it, was the importance of collaborating with the private sector to enhance capacity. As you understand, the importance of financing, government alone, particularly after the pandemic and the global shock we're experiencing now, cannot be expected to finance or to meet the cost of investing in infrastructure. So the importance of pulling in private sector resources, ensuring that we have incentives that are attractive to investors who are interested in the logistics sector. And we've already seen that from the Port of Mombasa, Port of Lamu, Bagamoyo, Djibouti, and elsewhere. So we're already seeing that collaboration. But I think if that is enhanced, it will be key. Again, one of the highlights was the importance of adapting technology to ensure that there is movement of goods and services.
Interesting, Agnes, about challenges that are now emerging around competition for East African ports around the Indian Ocean trade. You've got neighbors to the north where you have Somali and a few others as well. Those folks are also around that corridor trying to build very fast and furious. The Chinese also have interest there because of the position of the Horn of Africa to Asia, India, and Indian subcontinent, as well as the Middle East. Then downside, you've got South Africa as well. So how does all of this, how do all come together in terms of the competition that the Port of Mombasa, which is a traditional leader in that area, is now facing?
So far, the Port of Mombasa has been the most competitive port in that part of the region. This is due to continuing and conducive government policy that has enabled this port to be. However, it cannot remain like that, as you highlighted, that there are other new investment in the ports of Somalia, Hargeisa, and Jubaland. Then you have Djibouti. You have two ports there. So there is, the competition is purely because our neighboring countries, and rightly so, have been able to tap into new investors, particularly from the Gulf and China, to put finances in the logistics sector, thereby giving Kenya and Tanzania competition. But I think this competition is great and it's important because Boston, what it does, it provides an opportunity for goods to move from the Horn all the way to West Africa and to the Cape of Good Hope. And I think this investment in infrastructure is important. I see it as competition. What happens is Kenya has to pull up its socks. So does Tanzania to keep up with the competition. I think it's healthy. It is healthy for regional trade development.
Yeah, very key. But how are the governments around East Africa looking to meet the challenge of sea trade infrastructure? Here comes the Chinese and a few others with very deep pockets and the big boys from the Middle East and the Gulf. So do you think the administration in Nairobi, the one in Kampala and others in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, will be able to meet them money for money? What will be a game changer here for East African economies and countries who need this inflows from these seaport facilities infrastructure to maintain the state of the economy locally?
So our region wants to remain a competitive logistics hub, not only for East Africa, but for the rest of the African continent, right? We have particularly the newest port, the Lamu port, which is the deepest port in that region, will compete with the ports of Oman, particularly for smaller ship and transshipment. But look, what we're doing in the region, I say we, the government, the administration, I take ownership. I keep referring to the government of the region as we. What the government in the administration are doing is, I think, collaborate. And I think I highlighted that earlier in saying the importance of pulling together resources as regional government to invest in regional infrastructure, but also importantly, when we pull together, then we're able to attract meaningful investment. And I think that is what most of these administrations have to do if they're not already doing so.
Okay, so you talked a bit earlier about intra-Africa trade. Kenya is heading to a general election in a few weeks' time. How much more are you looking to see the new administration do in terms of investments in terms of trade and related infrastructure for Kenya?
One of the most important points for me, given our focus in trade at GBS Africa, is to see Kenya working alongside the African members of the African Union towards the implementation of the Africa Free Trade Area, right? Secondly, the importance of policy continuity. The current administration has focused on infrastructure development. I think it's important to restore investor confidence that incoming administration is able to continue with the same policy, particularly on infrastructure and the logistics sector. In the past, we've had calls by African nations that any trade agreement with external partners out of the continent must be signed or agreed upon as a bloc rather than individuals. So I'm hoping that the new administration will work very closely with the rest of the African governments to collaborate on trade negotiation and trade competitiveness. And when you do that, our continent will be competitive for investors and it will provide important, will create jobs for the many Africans who are unemployed.
You were online yesterday with a team, with a couple of other folks in terms of the outlook on Kenya's next election, in terms of the countdown to that election. What's at play here in terms of who succeeds President Uhuru Kenyatta? He was in Seychelles Islands a few days ago to do bilateral economic trade relations. It doesn't look like he's resting on his oars, even though his days are numbered in office as the country's president. So he's looking to gain relationship with as many countries as possible, which he's doing almost on a daily basis as the electioneering is here. So tell me a little bit about what to expect in Kenya's election in terms of spending across infrastructure. I know you folks are building roads, rail infrastructure very furiously in Nairobi and across the country. So what will the economy be at play as a big picture at this election, or is just down to party politics until the next president comes into office?
A conversation yesterday on the prospects for businesses and Kenyans was the importance of a peaceful transition because Kenya is an important country in the region in terms of investment, not only to Kenya, but the rest of the African continent. The next administration from the private sector particularly is ensuring continuity of policy, friendly environment for doing business, at the same time addressing the current issues of high rates of unemployment, the rising cost of living, and also the elephant in the room, Kenya's debt. How do you manage? Who has the capability of managing Kenya's resources, who is prudent enough to manage Kenya's resources so that we can honor our international obligation, at the same time continue building the economy? And how well are the newcomers or whatever administration, how well are they geared towards fighting corruption and graft, which we know has been a challenge for the continent? But most importantly, how does the ordinary Kenyan, how promote economic activity, ensuring that the ordinary Kenyan can afford bread and butter and is able to afford healthcare, at the same time quality education. Key issues, Boston, and I can assure you the same issues most electorates are looking for are the same issues you'd expect anywhere in the continent, because unfortunately issues-based politics are not really common. They're not common in the continent, but not common elsewhere. These promises, I do hope that electorates are able to hold the new incoming administration accountable based on their promises.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on the elections coming forth and the new administration in Kenya. Thank you so much for those insights, Agnes Gitau at GBS Africa. Have a wonderful evening.